The way a group of people see the world is going to determine how they feel about it, their attitudes, and then ultimately their behavior. It's a direct relationship between the lens in which we view the world and our behavior. They're related. Intelligence has nothing to do with IQ. Intelligence has to do with behavior. If you're doing something that's bringing you towards a goal, doing something positive and good for your life, you're behaving intelligently. If you're doing something that's hurting you, you're behaving foolishly or stupidly. And that's associated with ignorance. Ignorance is a lack of knowledge or understanding. The way you see a situation, the angle of perception, your mind's eye, your point of view, your perspective, your awareness, your consciousness, your understanding, the knowledge you have, that will determine ultimately and feed and fuel your behavior. If you want to change your behavior and the way you interact with the situation, you've got to change your paradigm. That's from knowledge. Paradigms are gained and built from knowledge. What I'm talking about is the cultural change you see of these generations, the behavior, the ignorance, the apathy. There's no virtue taught anymore. It's all about the self, idolizing celebrities and materialism, all the dependency, the addiction, the lack of personal responsibility, discipline. So there's two ways we can experience a paradigm shift in a country, as a culture or a people. We experience it through the media, the television, and through the educational system. Now the educational system gets us when we're young, gives us the foundation, the fundamental cornerstone for us, for everything else being built upon. So that foundation is a reference point for us. See, after 1963, the Big Bang Theory was taught. Before that, we had the Bible, which everybody was taught and believed that we come from God. We were made in the image of God. That gave us that foundation and that worldview. For the most part, I'm talking about. You know, each one of us have different experiences, but the majority of people, that's what they believe. Just because you've got the Bible being taken out doesn't mean you got rid of religion, because you got a new religion, and that's the Big Bang Theory. So now we have this worldview, my generation in particular, that the world is made from evolution, particles and atoms and things, and there is no God. It's just random, chaotic. I'm an accident. I'm just evolved from an ape. And it gives the attitude and feeling of hopelessness. There's no God. There's no purpose for me being here. If I believe this worldview, then my attitude is going to be like, there's no reason for me to be here. I'm just this material flesh. If I believe that I'm an ape and I'm an animal, I'm going to behave like an animal. I'm going to be ruled by my feelings, my five senses. That's what's going to rule my life, flesh. Look at the paradigms we've been given to believing, to accept. Theory of evolution says I'm just a freaking evolved ape. I'm an animal. That's how I'm going to behave. I'm going to do things based on my instincts, how I feel. You measure everything upon materialism, the five senses. Everything around you in the material world dies, and you measure everything by death. Death is your ruler. You worship death. Evolution will give you more of a angry, competitive gorilla man. Reincarnation will give you that apathy. It's okay, because I can come back in the flesh and do it all over. I get as many tries as I want. What does that do? I got eternity, right? You're reincarnated. You've been here before. You'll come back again. You got to do it until you accomplish your mission, for eternity. Because life and time is just one cycle. There's no beginning, no end. It's infinite. You know what this gives you? Nothing. It makes you apathetic. Well, I'm an enlightened person, just at peace and one with nature. These worldviews, they don't freaking work. What does it do? What's the fruitage? I'll tell you what it did for me. Nothing. Apathy, lazy. I don't have to do nothing. Put it on my table, I'll come back in the next life. I don't gotta do shit. And not only that, but I'm not responsible. There's no such thing as good or bad. They don't exist. Morality? It doesn't exist. Besides, I'm going to come back until I become my own God. When I do, because it's going to happen, I've got enough time. I've got infinity. When that happens, I'll make my own rules. No good, no bad, just whatever I'm feeling. Don't you understand how stupid and foolish and ignorant that is? My generation, apathy. You know who's wrong and who needs to be disciplined? The government, the evil church. They taught blasphemous things. You know what they taught? That God is real and it's literal. They're teaching blasphemy. How dare they? That's what we get angry about. This video I'm going to make in response to a few requests. I have some questions about a pineal gland, my experience. It's funny, people ask me, like, Brayden, what was the trick you did? Kind of technique, some grounding technique, meditation. Did you take anything? Did you smoke pot? Did you take shrooms, LSD, DMT? Did you hit your head? You know, what's the password? What's the secret handshake? Can you let me in through the back door? Is there a secret window I can climb up and get in through it? Listen to my videos. I had a horrible, terrifying time. It was not fun. I don't know how anybody could ask me what they could do to have that experience. That's just foolish. I didn't take anything. There wasn't any catalyst. There was not any kind of manipulation technique. I didn't try to have a pineal gland experience. It was sincere. If you're trying to manipulate, you can't have this experience, in my opinion. It's not this romantical, beautiful, mystical thing. Understanding. I saw that it is my choices that are responsible for what happens to me. Not my parents, not my DNA, not my environment, not the government, the Illuminati, nothing. In the end, I have myself to blame only. Because it's my choices. Not to say that your environment and your experience and your relationships don't influence you. But they don't control you. You have to choose what to do. That's what makes you responsible. That's it. A lot of yous trying to find what technique or trick or backdoor. You can't get into the club unless you're asked. And you just want to sneak in. What's the secret password? Is there a handshake, any kind of technique, any trick? Anything I can do to manipulate or buy my way into this experience so I don't have to earn my way in. You can't have this experience because you're dependent. Dependency is pointing the finger. If you're dependent, you're in chains. You have no power. Responsibility. With great power comes great responsibility. The ability to choose your response to a stimuli. It's not the hand you've been dealt, it's how you play your cards. Today, everybody wants to blame everyone else for their emotional, physical, financial well-being. People are sensitive. They don't like to hear what things that offend them. Whether or not any of that stuff is offensive doesn't even matter. What matters is what you choose to do, how you choose to react. Most people are reactive. Somebody tells them something, I love you, and they feel love. Somebody tells them I hate you, they feel hate. They have no self-control, no ability to choose, because they have no skill and no discipline. You have no wisdom, because you're a child, dependent, pointing the finger. The Illuminati, or the government, or the Vatican, or my parents, or my genetics, or if you're focusing in your attention, you're cultivating tighter bondage. It's dependent upon someone to take care of you. You have no rights. You have privileges. If you're independent, that's when you have rights. You have freedom. You're dependent directly to God. That's who you answer to. You don't answer to man. Creativity, cultivate. You got to teach yourself, use and utilize this research you're doing. Otherwise, it's just you're hoarding it. The more you point the finger, the less power you have, and that's not helping you. What have you done with all this knowledge you're researching or listening to? What are you doing with it? You know what you're doing? You're finding more creative ways to point the finger and not take any responsibility. That's the truth. You're just putting all of your focus and attention on something that you can't change anyway. So focus on your creativity. See, a lot of people want to know this occult stuff. to gain personal power over others. You don't develop these disciplines and this knowledge in order to bring down the government or bring down the financial bankers or manipulate somebody, gain some kind of new career you can enter into in order to gain money out of it. You don't use it for power over others. You use it for power over yourself, to restrain you, not anybody else. But nobody actually applies any of this discipline, so you know what happens? Everybody's got to tell everybody else what to do. All this information and research does nothing. If you don't apply it, you cannot know it as truth. What you're doing is, like a child says, "Oh, my daddy says this." Being dependent cannot give you the truth. You are a liar and a hypocrite. Because you're just a child. You're dependent, you are immature, and you're not disciplined enough. You don't have any internal skill. Then you are just like a child claims to know the truth because his daddy said so. So if somebody takes what I say, well, Brandon says this is true, so that's what I believe. You're a fool. No, I have a child. I don't want any more. I'm not your daddy. Who's your daddy? Not me. So people just like what appears to be. They don't care about what actually is because they haven't taken any time to observe